I'm Justin Davis, and this is the E120s review. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to check out the new Eachine E120s. It is kind of the little brother to the E180 that came out a while back. It's also ready to fly, but this one is a little easier to fly for the beginners. It's not so wild. It doesn't have full-on carbon fiber body and all that huge brushless motor power on there. This one is a little more docile, but it will also 3D. So if you're looking to get into flying as a 3D RC heli pilot, you can do that with the E120s. So pretty cool because everything in the box here comes with a battery, a little USB charger. It comes with a Futaba. It's a SFHSS protocol, so you can also bind this up with your Radio Master TX16S if you have a multi-protocol project in there. It'll actually bind up on the OMP. If you have a brand new version of OpenTX on there, the brand new version of OpenTX for Radio Master 4-in-1 multi-protocol module has OMP on there. So they have all the curves and everything in there for you, so you don't have to go and fiddle with a bunch of radio settings. Long story short, very easy to bind up and just start flying your RC heli now. So on that Futaba fast protocol. So let's go ahead now and let's take a look at what's in the box with this bad boy. For $129, you can't go wrong. And also, we're getting a 10-minute flight time out of the battery. And I like the fact that they also have an open spot here in the front for the battery to just slide into. And you can plug it in underneath here without having to take the canopy on and off. So other models like the OMP Hobby models, most of them you have to take the canopy on and off, put the battery in there. So this is kind of nice because you can pull this battery out, shove another battery in there, and these guys only cost $5 a piece. So yeah, get the 3 battery version and it's just $10 more. So $5 per battery. It's pretty dirt cheap for the beginners. Let's go ahead now and take a look at what's in the box after I told you all those extra details. Sorry, I'm excited about this one, but let's go ahead and show you what it comes with. Here we go. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and open up the box. Let me show you what comes in there. You do get the E120s heli here with a direct drive system, the 2S battery input on the front there. And I love that you can slide the battery in and out of the canopy and plug it in without having to take the canopy off. You get a manual here. You get a quick start guide. This is going to get you up and running with your battery charger. It's very simple. It just plugs into an AC adapter for 120 volts, and you have one balance port right there to plug in your batteries. And I think these take about, I'd say 45 minutes or so per battery to charge up, maybe a little bit less time. But it seemed like every time I looked at the charger itself, the green light would go out, and that once the lights go out on here, it's not charging anymore and it's ready to take to the field. So I got the 3 battery combo here, and these batteries are 2S 500 milliamp. They are bigger than the batteries that you get with the M1 heli. The M1 heli also has kind of the balance lead, no XT30 here, and this is a 2S 350 milliamp versus the 500. So this is going to get me around 10 minutes flight time on this. With the M1, you have a little bit larger power system and motor, so you're probably going to get maybe around 5 minutes with this 350 battery. And at $5 a battery, I would just go ahead and get the 3 battery combo. It's only $10 more. It's around $139 for the 3 battery combo. Also in the box, you get some extra main blades. You get 2 different types of Allen wrenches here, M2 and M1, and you get an extra tail blade and a screwdriver. You also get this Futaba style fast transmitter protocol radio. There is no bind button on here, but it does have multiple options for different models inside this radio, and it does have a way to change it from mode 1 and mode 2. If you want to change it to mode 1 and mode 2, you just hold down one of the function buttons. I think it was this function mode button here, and it'll come up once you keep holding. It'll go to mode 1 there. Okay, and it's beeping. I'm just going to turn it off, and now it's in mode 1. If you want to put it back to mode 2, hold the function button again, start it up, hold everything for a second, and bam, I'm back into mode 2. So then you just power the radio off, and you're good to go in mode 2. Now also in the box, you get the heli itself, which is a direct drive system, so very similar to the M1 from OMP Hobby, but it has a little bit wider blade grip stance here, and around the same size blades. It does not have a carbon fiber body, but it also does have a flight controller on here running stability mode and full 3D mode. But I love that you don't have to take this canopy on and off to get the batteries in. And with this M1 right here, this is the brand new M1 from OMP.
You can see it's all closed in here, but it also has standoffs back here, none up here. It just has a clip right here that goes into the body here, but this is full carbon fiber. And I think the biggest difference between these two helis, if you're shopping around, is the fact that this one is all carbon fiber, a little bit bigger motor, and it has a brushless tail motor on here, whereas this one has a brushed motor running the tail system. But this one's really meant for beginners, and this one is kind of like the ultimate tiny heli for anybody that already knows how to fly helis, or if you just want like the best looking small copter out there that's available. My opinion is the M1, but for the cheap guys, M1 would be the E120s. So let's go ahead outside now and fly this one. But hey, also by the way, you have 2 ports here for DSM and S-bus input, so you can plug one in here for DSM for Spectrum radios and S-bus down here. That's pretty cool. So you can run it on the fast system for Taba, S-bus, and DSM protocol. Pretty cool. Running 2S. Let's go outside now and let's fly it and see how it does in flight test.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and do the flight test. We're going to fly this today with the transmitter that comes along with it. It is in mode 2. You can also select mode 1 with this transmitter. It has full-on stabilized mode for beginners. On the left-hand side here, you have 6G and 3D. You want to go into 3D mode when you're on the ground to be able to do full-on 3D maneuvers when you level up to that. It has a gear switch on the top left right here. It also has throttle hold right here, and it has a high and low rate switch here. So let's go ahead and fly it in mode 2. Let's see how the E120 does. All right, let's go ahead and take off the throttle hold here, and let's go ahead and spool up. I'm gonna let that head speed come up to speed before I take off, before I really go past the 50% level here with the collective. Nice hover. This is kind of a hands-off hover. There's a little bit of a wind right now coming from my left, but let's check it out. So if you go hands off right there, a little bit of positive pitch. Let's bring it down a little bit. It seems like it's going to be pretty good for 3D because it does have a pretty good pitch bump already out of the box. It's not super aggressive though. Something about line of sight flying helicopters, I love it. I like the canopy on this one. I got a couple of trees to my left here, pretty wide open on my right, so I can fly a little further ahead on my right. I like the blue front on this canopy. That helps me a lot coming back. A little bit of yellow on the side there. Let's check out the pirouette rate. That's not super bad. And now I'm in the low mode, so we can put it into high, and that'll give us more pitch. So we'll see how the pitch bump is after we get it into high rates. So now it's in high rates, about the same. Doesn't seem crazy or anything. Okay, now I'm in idle up. So that's giving me about 100% head speed all the time. We'll do a pitch bump in idle up, and that idle up is the gear switch, by the way. If you're watching this and you just bought this, much more aggressive pumps there, pitch bump. That's what we call that in the heli world, pitch bump. And I'm still in, still in stabilized mode. So if I let go, everything goes back to level for me. I also have throttle cut, and you can use throttle cut as kind of a bailout switch. So if like you think you're going in, the best thing to do before a helicopter hits the ground, RC helicopter, is hit throttle hold, because it'll take all the force, driving force, out of the heli, the head. The head speed will just dramatically decrease, and it'll get a lot less damage. So it's just some forward flight here in high rate mode. Do a flyby. Really try not to end up in that tree over there. There's a full speed flyby right there. Nice. Anticipate that next turn, because you can end up in the trees if you don't. I always tell people in my tutorials to do that. Anticipate your next turn. So I think for the beginners, this reminds me of some of the kind of blade type helicopters that are geared toward beginners. Got a lot faster pirouette rate in the high rate mode. Just come a little closer and show you that a little closer up. Try not to smack myself here. A little faster. Now here's the low rate pirouette. Not bad. And I'm in stabilized mode, so you can play around all you want. Ooh, touch the ground there. I did not lose the tail blade though. So one thing I was, kind of concerned about is the kind of brush motor running in the tail. I was worried that it would blow out. So when you have a blowout on a heli in the tail will waggle. And that means because the power is not enough in the tail to keep up with the maneuver. And so far I haven't seen any waggle, which is good. Even in the hard turns. We could do some hard turns in high rate mode and see if I can get that tail to waggle. But so far the tune and the gyro on here seems to be tuned pretty well. It's not over, the gains aren't too high, so we don't get any tail wag. It's really good news. Look at that flyby, man. This thing is zooming. I'm gonna go back into idle up, and I'm gonna get a little faster with full on idle up for that flyby. Yeah, quite a bit more speed. Also a lot more height on just a little bit of pitch bump there. Now I really like the pump there with idle up. It kind of reminds me of like one of the OMP Hobby smaller ones. I think it was the M1. I have the M1 and the new M2, by the way, coming up on the channel if you want to see those reviews. Really love doing helicopter reviews on the channel. And I always feel kind of like a little bit living on the edge when I'm flying in idle up, but that's because I'm mostly a sport flyer. I'm not really a 3D flyer. I can do all the basics like TikToks, inverted flight, stuff like that. But as a beginner though, you can take off and fly this thing tail end like this, and left will be left and right will be right, back will be back, forward will be forward. Up and down obviously the same. But when you turn the heli around facing nose in right here, left is right and right is left. So that takes some practice to learn how to hover nose in toward yourself. So you can kind of practice that in just little stick movements. So you pushing the stick toward you makes the heli go away. Pushing away from you makes it come back to you. And that's really an art to learn for RC heli flying. Like my original RC heli instructor, way back in Virginia Beach, like 20 years ago, he taught me to fly nose in first, soon after hovering. We did a little side two action, side two hover, and then you get into forward flight after that. You practice your figure eights so you can get all your orientations. And you could do that same type of stuff with this little heli. Back then I was flying a 50 size heli, which if you know about heli sizes, that's pretty big for a beginner heli. But that was after I had a Blade 400. Comment in this review if you remember the Blade 400. So far I'm getting a pretty good flight time out of this battery. I feel like we could probably get like 5-6 minutes. If we get 8 minutes, that'd be crazy. Now one thing I did notice about this battery versus say the battery on the OMP Hobby heli that's about the same size as this. I mean it's almost identical in size. This head is a little bit bigger. The blade grips are a little bit bigger, but I noticed that this battery is bigger. So they run a 350 on the OMP. I believe it was the M1, the smaller one. Quote me if comment if I'm wrong there, but my M2's in the car. We're gonna fly that next. And the M2 is a beast. That will do full on 3D. It will do beginner style flying, all carbon fiber, but this one has a carbon fiber tail, which is cool. And the worst place to be when you're flying a heli is directly over your head. I've been there before and been in a bad spot. Almost hit myself, so be super careful with your heli. But that's a hands-off hover. It doesn't have any kind of optical flow or any, little sensors on there to hold it in one spot. This is just pure line of sight stability flying, and it doesn't have altitude hold either, so you're gonna have to like keep your stick nice and level for your throttle to maintain your altitude. As you go across the field too, you're gonna have to kind of lift up on the throttle as you go, kind of maintain that forward same altitude. Takes a little practice. You're flying both sticks at once to do that. So just a little tip for the beginners. It will kind of dip as it comes across the field naturally when you tilt forward like this. You kind of see it dip a little bit. Anticipate that next turn as always. So, $129, like I really wish that something like this had been around when I first started. because I bought my first heli from a guy who was like at an RC car racetrack, and he had it in his trunk. He didn't really want it. It was a Blade 400. I kind of understand now why he didn't want it, because if you looked at that thing, the servos would break. And most of these helis nowadays, they come with Metal Gear servos, so that's freaking awesome. If I just touched the grass with the old school helis, the gears inside the servos would break, and then you'd be fixing servos or buying new servos. And those servos were dirt cheap, the Blade servos were, but you know, who wants to buy a new servo every time you crash, right? That's now why we're doing fly barless now, and this is just much more enjoyable. And we can land and do a little bit of 3D with this. I'll just do a few little flips and rolls and things like that. We'll go ahead and give it a little bit of a throttle cut here. See if I can bring it down and land it. And now we're gonna go into 3D mode. And in 3D mode, you should really be in idle up. You don't wanna really try to fly 3D mode not in idle up, okay? The dangerous thing about that is, well, if you slam dunk it into the ground, it's gonna be full head speed. So I'm in low rates right now, and you can also do high rates on this heli. Pitch bump, now I have 0 stabilization also in the 3D mode. So hopefully I don't slam dunk it. I'm just gonna go up. Oh, it actually flips and rolls really easily, but you get ground effect close to the ground, guys, so it kind of suck you into the ground on a hot day like that. That's kind of cool. I feel like I could practice my inverted flying. But you know, I don't fly helis every day, so this is big for me right here. Just to do a nice big slow roll. Don't forget to push down when you go inverted. Push down on that left stick. That'll bring it up. That takes a lot of practice. So like, there's a forward roll. Let's just try a TikTok. Ooh. That's enough for me, right? You know, I really don't want to slam this into the ground, but you know, I think it would be okay. The smaller the heli is, a little bit less damage. You get extra blades with it too, so don't worry too much. But don't forget to hit throttle hold if you think you're going in. And doing TikToks, my there goes the battery. So nice long battery on that. Yeah, so when I was doing TikToks, learning TikToks, I started doing this, and then somehow I would get blown out and then just tumble to the ground with my T-Rex 500 and really eat it. I think I rebuilt my T-Rex 500 probably about 5 or 6 times before I moved on to a 600 and 700 size. But this is really great. It's a lot of fun, dirt cheap, and it seems to be like the poor man's OMP hobby M1. So I'll put my discount code down below, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that first part, little bench overview of this heli. I think it flies pretty good for what it is. It will 3D, it'll do mild 3D, and it'll do really nice beginner style flying. So very stable, quiet, and I don't think the Karens are gonna come after you as long as you don't fly at a playground somewhere or chase a minivan. But thanks again for hanging out. This was a fun flight test, guys. Please do subscribe on the channel for more RC reviews. I'm Justin Davis. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.